I know this is getting long, so I don't know what else you guys want to see.
Anything.
Anything, okay.
Do you want to show them the testing or the festival cars?
Oh, yeah, do the testing one.
Okay.
You guys will get a kick out of the first few pictures of that one. One of the things I see in the magazines a lot these days is like the SLP cars and the Roush cars, the Roush Mustangs and that, and they all kind of equate themselves as limited production cars, and they're really not. Those cars are after point of first sale with a bunch of bolt-on parts, and they might have some testing on it, but they don't have to pay warranty like we do. So we had a whole bunch, go back to the other one. We had a whole bunch of testing. Of course, you can't read
Want me to
them.
read it? Weather, high altitude, park brake, hot fill hold, Las Vegas drive cycle, 23-mile durability, high-speed testing, car wash clearance, rail test, water intrusion test, exhaust manifold cracking test, coast down test, evaporative emissions test, EPA evaporative compliance, and EMI RFI testing.
Yeah, that's the ones I could remember. But anyway, the cars that you have that still run, and they look like they run pretty good to me, they had to go through all of this testing to make sure that you wouldn't have any problems with them. So I don't know how many of those cars are going to live 22 years from now, but I'm pretty happy that I've seen all yours here. This is a top speed picture, and one of the things that we wanted to make sure is that when you guys are running your cars wide open throttle that you didn't have any temperature problems. This is actually at 150 miles an hour at TRC, which is just up the street. And you can see the front end lifting off the ground is in that picture. Next. This is Greg Palm. He was an engineer that worked with me at Prototype, and he was driving and I was taking the pictures. This is a temperature readout of the exhaust, and you can't see it, but he's about 1,700 degrees, which was about as high as we can go. Remember those days? Don't break the manifold. This picture looks like crap on the screen, but when you see it on the web, it looks really pretty. And what this was is Greg was driving that car. We had two cars down there. I ran one and Greg ran the other. And it's in the sunset, and it was Greg's last run of the day. And here's a white Trans Am in the sunset. It looks really good on the computer. Next. And there's the banked oval at TRC.
About 130 there.
Yeah, about 130 or so, and at 100, between 130 and 140, you could let go of the steering wheel, and the car would go around the corner by itself. This is one of the emissions cars. There's a lot of discussion about which prototypes are which. Pontiac and General Motors own the majority of the prototypes. Haas/Prototype Automotive Services owned a few. This red one here is 28F39. That was the one we used for emissions. It was used in hot weather testing. We took it through the Las Vegas and all out there. I can't remember all the tests that car did. Next. Same car. Now the reason, I didn't have a vanity prop. I didn't need my picture taken. But what happened was, as part of the emissions package they sent to the EPA, they had to take photographs of all the components on the car with this little tag to show that it was on that car when they ran the testing. So they just had a couple extra shots, and they took pictures of me and sent them to me. Next. The next car is the black prototype that Rich Van Toff has now. And these are of the emissions testing that car went through. And that car, I believe, also went through the 20,000 mile durability test. And here's the ATL tag. I still have these labels, but when those are on the internet, you'll be able to see them much better. And there's a couple more shots of the different parts. What these shots will help you is to see what the cars look like completely stock if you're restoring them. There's a wastegate actuator. Next. There's the dashboard to show that it's that car. Now this is one of the things that was done typically was what they called a hot weather test trip, and we started at the proving grounds in Arizona, which I think GM's gotten rid of now. But we started with with, at the proving grounds, and we went through Death Valley, we went through Las Vegas at 5 o'clock with full heat. There was a place called Dante's Pass where you have to be able to go up it without overflowing the burnt bottle and getting it too hot. And we ran that with several other cars. There was 3 turbo Trans Ams, there was a V8 Trans Am, there was a V6 Firebird as baseline, and there was also a Grand National. And then what you'll see here is various pictures that we took along the way. And I tried to remember which cars were which, but pretty much all the cars that you see here have been destroyed now, unfortunately. Here's the cars up at the top of Pikes Peak with the radios on the top. Well, they're meant to be driven. So I'll give you a little story. There's a place called Dante's Pass, and the trick is you're supposed to run up this thing as fast as you can and see if you overflow the burnt bottle. You know, coolant. And I changed the fan switch on this to the Grand National. So the stock Trans Am comes on at 239 degrees. This one comes on at 231. So what it would do, and it also has the fan timer that the Grand National has. So after you run your car, you know how the fans keep going? It keeps cooling the engine down afterwards. That's off the Grand National. So we ran this thing. We went up there with all the stock cars and the GM cooling engineers there. The chief engineer, Tim Lyons, is with us. Tom Goes with us. All these uppity guys. And we get to the top of this thing, and the Trans Ams aren't moving. They're not even bubbling. All the other cars are bubbling. So Tim Lyons gives me and another guy instructions, says go down to the hill, and without getting in trouble, go up as fast as you can. So we had a bonsai run up the thing. It still wouldn't burp over. So we got a lot of kudos out of the Harrison Radiator folks at that point. Next. This is Lane Vanderhook. He worked with me at the assembly plant. He also worked for Pontiac for his entire career. He went along on our test trip. Pass employed him for a while after he retired to help us coordinate things with the assembly plant. Next. This is Janice McFall. She was the one that sent out the piece of paper that said your cars could get built. The thing that you probably don't know is there was supposed to be a 1991 Turbo Trans Am as well. And unfortunately it got canceled, and she was the one that sent me the piece of paper that said it got canceled. There's all the test cars in front of the hotel. It's 239 again, the same one you saw in the emission pictures. 237. 237? Okay, it's got the red wheels instead of the gold. Next. Just a car up on the mountain. This is a radar detector, obviously. This is called a HUD, and this went on the dashboard, and it went into the ECM, and it allowed us to change the programming in the prom while we were driving the car. We also could monitor all of the functions. You know, you didn't have a scan tool like you guys got now where you can plug your lap tool top into it. So this gave us all of our important information, what the pulse width of the injectors was, what the spark advance was, and we would record that depending on where we were at. And that's the end of that one. I do have more pictures, I'll just keep adding them.
Festival cars?
Yeah, how about the festival cars? Somebody told me she'd like a picture of the cars on the truck. All right, here's the festival cars. Now, one of the easy ways to tell if there's a festival car is open the door, and if it was made in 1988, it went to the festival. Every car made in 1988 went to the festival. 89, we started customer production. So all of these cars you see here are in a lot up at Pontiac Motors, Jocelyn Road in Pontiac, and they all were held there because we did have some initial problems with the cars. We had problems with downpipes, we had problems with the belts, the serpentine belt, and I'll explain that. What else? The tube that goes from the air meter into the turbo, we had problems with those. So what we did is we held all these cars captive, and we went through and fixed them all before they went to Indy.
Were they all cost 200?
There was 150.
Were they all cost?
And they all went down there. But the picture with me in it, there's only 66. The rest of them were sitting at the dealership.
Were they all cloth?
All cloth T-top.
Were all the cars that were cloth there, or was that?
I don't think so. I think there was production ones that were cloth T-tops that weren't here. But I'd have to look at the sheets to find out. Here they are with the car haulers in the background. They're just kind of cool pictures. These pictures actually came from Pontiac Motors. They had a photographer take these pictures and was nice enough to give them to me. This is getting ready to go on the road trip with the big banner on the side of the truck.
It says white hot and facing the industry. You can't read it.
Never liked the pacing the industry thing. Next. This is some of the zone managers, all of the truck drivers, and on either side you'll see a policeman. And we had a police escort that took us from Pontiac, Michigan down to the Indiana border, and then we had an Indiana State Police escort all the way to the track. And here's one of the cops, and there's me looking at the cars to make sure they're not tore up. This picture here shows the cars going down, let me see, what would that be? That would be 69 by the Indiana border. This picture I took off of one of your blog sites, and somebody had this picture. I don't know who it was, but it had me in the side of it, so I stuck it in there. Here's another picture. A guy named Dick Moss was in charge of all the cars while they were at Pontiac before they got handed over to Indy, and he took that picture. The next picture is him. And I don't know where a lot of these people are right now, but I'll keep trying to find them. I also talked to Pontiac Public Relations set this up. There was Bill O'Neill was the head of it. There was Randy Fox, Reggie Harris, and a guy named Carl Sheffer that were involved. And I've talked to Randy Fox, Carl Sheffer, and Reggie Harris about coming and doing something with you guys in the future. They had a lot of fun with the pace car, and they still like it. I know you guys are into collectibles, so I just